This is the Oppo Reno 7 Pro 5G. It's a mouthful to say, and it's also packed full of features. It's been a while since I've done an Oppo phone, but I'm really interested to see this one because one, it's their latest, and I've finally gotten my hands on a new phone relatively close to its launch. And I think what I say or what I show you guys in this particular video would actually have some effect. Yeah, so let's get to it. I'm your host Thiru, and this is Random Review Squad. Now, before I really talk about the phone, let's just talk about the unboxing experience. Of course, Oppo still comes with that standard layout of the box. Once you open the box, you come up with that first layer where you have all your warranties and your guides and a nice translucent plastic cover for your phone, so you can immediately kind of just start using it. And then you go on to see the phone itself. And of course, thankfully, Oppo hasn't jumped on that bandwagon where they remove chargers. So you actually have a high spec charger in the box so that you can charge your phone with super boot charging. Now, let's just take a moment to appreciate this phone. It is truly a stunning phone to look at. This colorway, this really stunning colorway, is called Star Trails Blue. And of course, it also comes in a black, a starlight black if I'm not wrong. But if I were anyone buying this phone, I would definitely go for this Star Trails Blue. It is absolutely stunning. The texture is completely different. Every angle you look is it's a slightly different color, like a pearlescent backing, and this beautiful camera bump. To be honest, I'm not really a fan of the Samsung camera bumps or the Google Pixel camera bumps. I think iPhone has a decent one, but other than that, I think this is a really nice camera bump. And the thing about this camera bump is that it's actually got an LED lining around the camera bump, and that actually goes off when you have notifications and your phone is actually facing down on the table. It's also really slim. I know I've actually shown the phone to some of my friends, and immediately the first thing they say is, wow, it looks turned off. The phone actually looks like an iPhone. I mean, we've got to put it out there. The sides, the bezels, the straight bezels basically, and the buttons, and the banding that you see in the aluminum frame. But I think a lot of companies have actually followed the iPhone with the notch, or a lot of companies have actually taken their own designs, made it look a bit like the Apple one. But to be honest, it's not really that important because the phone is comfortable in the hand. It's square. I like how it looks, and that's amazing in itself. We've moved away from curved backs into straight phone backs again. Oh, it actually comes with a screen protector. I didn't realize that. Once you go in, you immediately have a look at ColorOS 12. And ColorOS 12 is really intuitive. Of course, you start off with the blue wallpaper to fit the blue backing and everything. The UI is a pretty standard UI that you see with the square apps. And then the real difference is when you go into the settings. Now, it looks like the standard Android settings, but you can actually have quite a bit of maneuverability in the settings itself. It's not just a move up or a swipe up kind of fashion when you use the phone. You can actually change all the icons. You can actually have a larger amount or number of options in your menu. Of course, it's not running Android 12. It's running Android version 11. I'm guessing when they hop onto Android 12 and they have a new ColorOS, then this will definitely get an update. And then of course you can go into the settings and you can change what your lock screen looks like, what your always on display looks like. You can change the words, you can change the patterns, you can even change how the fingerprint sensor animates when you turn it on. There's there's the Doctor Strange circle, and there's like an explosion kind of thing, or bubble popping kind of effect. This display is an AMOLED display. It's HDR 10 plus, goes up to about 500 nits. And of course, the important spec is that it goes up to a 90 Hertz, right? So it's a 90 Hertz display. Everything looks really beautiful, really snappy. Of course, I have used 120 Hertz phones. 90 Hertz is more than enough. I've been using the Google Pixel 4 XL for about 2 years now, and 90 Hertz, really a great option. You don't really have to go into 120 Hertz because 120 Hertz is really battery consuming. It's 6.55 inches from one corner to the other, 122 nits peak brightness. Of course, it's 1080p screen, 1080p by 2400, and it's Corning Gorilla Glass 5. Corning Gorilla Glass 5 is actually pretty good. It will probably withstand a few drops before it actually shatters or cracks, but of course, please make sure you don't drop your phone. Now let's talk about what's inside. It runs a MediaTek Dimensity chip, basically the 1200 Max 5G Dimensity chip. So it's, from what I've been using for the past 1 week or 2 weeks or so, it's really quick. There's no lag or clogging up of anything. Even in startup, it was really fast when it was updating the apps. So I think MediaTek have done well in this aspect, and Oppo did well in choosing this particular processor. I mean, I can go into talking about, oh, you know, the Exynos is better or Snapdragon is better, but to the average consumer, you really can't tell the difference. You can get these phones at 256 gigs with 8 GB of RAM or 256 gigs with 12 gigs of RAM. This one has 12 gigs of RAM, and that's insane. So they have this feature called RAM expansion, which when enough storage space is available, you can use part of it to expand your RAM. And that's really cool, the fact that you can choose to expand your RAM based on the amount of space you have left on your storage. So yeah, I'm just gonna expand it by 3 gigs, 12 gig base, now plus 3 gigs, it's 15 gigs of RAM, but I'm sure you don't get the full speed that actual RAM storage has. Of course, the Oppo Reno 7 Pro 5G is a dual SIM phone. You can actually put 2 SIMs inside and you can use either or whenever you want. It supports 5G, of course, that's why it's got 5G in the name, but that also depends whether your country supports 5G or not. Now, let's talk about the camera. The main camera is actually a 50 megapixel f1.8 24mm wide angle lens. It's also got an 8 megapixel ultra wide, which is f2.2, and it's got a 2 megapixel macro camera. The macro camera is really interesting. I tried it out. I'm not going to really speak in full length about the camera. You can actually just take a look at the photos that I took. That will speak more for itself. The camera's got so many effects. It's got a pro mode that, you know, the Google Pixel just doesn't have yet. You can do so many things with the pro mode. If you understand your camera physics, you are going to enjoy using the pro mode. You can get really nice bokeh effects with certain apertures. You just have to figure out what is the lighting and when you have to, you know, change your ISO and all that stuff. So if you know your cameras, this phone would be a joy to shoot in or shoot with using the pro mode. Of course, the selfie camera is a 32 megapixel f2.4 22mm camera. It's actually pretty decent. I would say better than most phones at this tier, but still wouldn't beat the processing that those higher end phones have. Now, there's so much to talk about the charging. The charging is insane. I actually put it to charge at 5% at about 8:12 p.m. and when I picked it up at 9 o'clock, it was already at 100%. So you can see literally how fast the charging is. It's a 65-watt Super VOOC charger. I think it's Super VOOC 2.0. Of course, the battery on this phone is 4500 mAh. It's actually a pretty big battery on this phone, and at 90 Hz you won't use up as much of battery life, and AMOLED displays power saving as well, so that's really good. It's of course got in-display fingerprint unlock and also facial recognition if you want to use both of those. But of course the unlocking is not really the fastest in the world. I think you can kind of get used to it and kind of live with it if you are buying something at this price range. It's definitely worth it. Of course, there are a few cool features that I actually saw in this phone. The first one is the optimized night charging. Basically, optimized charging is really cool. It learns from your charging patterns and it actually reduces the charging rate at night to make sure you don't overcharge, and that kind of elongates your phone's battery life. And the next thing I'm really happy about, or things that I've actually been waiting for, I think Google just only implemented it. They actually have a private safe feature where you can actually store things into a private safe where you just have to protect it with password lock. And you also have the ability to lock any app that you want using the same password. So you just have to go into the settings and choose which apps you want to lock with the password. Of course, they all have the same password. Now, using this phone for the past 2 weeks, yeah, I would say it's really enjoyable. It's a new environment, a new UI compared to current Android, and it's very different how other companies or different companies do their UI and how they focus on different things. Also, gaming has been really pleasant on this phone. I wouldn't say you should be gaming on it 24/7. It does drain battery pretty quickly because of the bright screen and vivid colors that you get from the phone itself, especially if it's like a high intensity game like real racing 3D. Well, yeah, that's about it for the Oppo Reno 7 Pro 5G. Amazing phone by Oppo at about $900. I would say it's definitely worth a look at. I'm sure there's other competitive phones out there, but this is eye-catching. Also, what's eye-catching? If you could hit that like button and smash the subscribe button, it would be a great help. And don't forget to hit the notification bell. You will get notified whenever I release a new video. Until next time, I'm your host Thiru, and this is Random Reviews.